Jeremiah. Where are you at? Beach Club, it looks like?
Yacht Club.
Yacht Club.
And I am pretty much alone with the exception of I have one rep who's here to make sure that I don't say anything wrong or I may get attacked.
Oh, is this someone I know?
Yes, Allison. We are in A, B, and C in Cape Cod rooms here at the convention center, and it is literally myself and Allison at the other side of this giant table, like you're in one of the cartoon movies where it's just like pass the fork,
like Belle and Beast.
Yes, yeah. I would definitely say that I'm the Beast.
I don't know if they give you any like food or something, but you should slurp it and just like make Allison do the same thing.
Thank you.
So Jeremiah, so we just set the table earlier, but I just want to do it again. It's your meeting with Bob and it wasn't exclusive. It was with some other folks. Is off the record, so you can't specifically share what was said, but you can give your impressions. And so this is the second time because apparently Bob only wants to talk to you.
I wear the cool shirts,
Since Bob only wants to talk to you, what's your thoughts on what he conveyed? It's no secret that there's criticism, and we talked about how some might be fair, some might not be fair. But what was your impression of your experience with him?
So to go back to pre D23 Expo, that was where the first time where we had a chance to sit down and just talk with him. Everything was off the record. So again, I'm not going to go into any specifics. But prior to that, I was very much, wow, there's an echo in this room too. So Allison is hearing everything. I was just like everybody else. Just the only thing I knew about Bob was shareholder meetings and sadly the loudest tweet in the room that always kind of tainted everybody else's opinions. Sitting down with him, I don't want to say he's like sitting down with my grandfather.
I'm sure he doesn't want you to say that.
Is your grandfather still with us?
No. Jeez, I can tell how this is going. No, very personable, he understands everything. Like, I've often said this about you, Benji. Your brain works in ways that I will never be able to understand because you have so many things going on at once. Mm-hmm. That is very much how he is. I don't believe that there is a single large part of the Walt Disney Company that he doesn't know about. But at the same time, and this is one of the things he actually said, you guys can quote me on this, he doesn't know about, he is not the person in charge of the day-to-day things that I think a lot of the criticism of him comes about from super fans, from those of us that go to the parks all the time that, how dare Bob close this store to put in this store or something? That's not his level, but he knows the big picture. Like just talking to him, I couldn't understand how many things are going on in his head, much less having to. He runs one of the biggest companies. I mean, if not for him, we wouldn't be here talking right now. He is the Walt Disney of this day.
Those are your words, not his, right?
No, those are purely mine. He is the person in charge of the company. He is not the creative as Walt Disney, but he is he's who everybody has to answer to at some point or another.
I understand what Jeremiah is trying to say. He's saying that at the top of all of this is Bob, so as such, Jeremiah, with that in mind, if based upon you've had a chance to talk with him a couple of times, and these are your words, not Bob's, but I'm curious, what would you, when you leave the room, what do you think the Disney company means to him? What's the impression you get of what he thinks the role of the Disney company is?
I don't think what I'm about to say, this is, again, something that he talked about. He is a super fan. He has been a fan all his life. His first movie was Mary Poppins. His first record was Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. Like those were things that he shared with us. I know that could be going a little too deep, but he loves his company. That is pure, unadulterated, cares about everything, wants this company to succeed for every single person, whether it be the family that comes once a year from Iowa or the superfan or the shareholders. And cast members were a big thing also.
Jeremiah, so I know this was, lucky you, your second opportunity because D23 had a similar thing. I'm curious, what was different about him? Did it seem more comfortable, less comfortable? Was there a different vibe that he gave off, or was it pretty much the same Bob Chapek?
The first time we did it, and this was, purely something that was thrown together, not for anything, as I'm not writing an article or anything. It was just a chance for us to sit down and talk. And at D23, I think he approached it very much like, I don't know if, we all have heard the stories of cast members and fans having different reactions to him. So I'm sure he walked into the room hesitant about things, but this time walked in, sat down with us, and he literally will answer anything. And we got a chance to know him. And it was funny, he was sitting next to a fireplace, and I kept telling him, I'm like, I just want a picture of you in the seat as a fireside chat, because it was the perfect thing. Like he would just sit there and hang out and talk to us.
Did you follow that with Grandpa Bob?
No, I'm sure that will become a thing now.
So I have a question. We've talked previously about how it's impressive that even before he was CEO, that he cared about scrawny little websites like us. And without obviously violating any terms here, but can you talk about any sense you got from him about how he cares about not just the fan sites, but fans in general? Because that's obviously they vilified him, and it's easy, or I shouldn't say they, but some people have vilified him, and it's easy to kind of, well, you want me to be the bad guy, I'll be the bad guy. But the fact that he's still doing outreach, sort of unprovoked outreach, to me says something. Did he give you any vibe in that regard?
Well, I know, and this is from experience from friends in the past or cast members, he's started to do more of this type of thing with cast members, where he wants to get out there and be seen not as the corporate CEO, but as the human, the person that cares about everybody. And he comes off as caring about every aspect of the company. And for us, he makes a point to us to not talk down to us, to not have somebody, we've all seen and been in different times where you've been with your boss, and the boss has the right-hand man that says, no, don't say that. And they turn. This was purely just him relaxing and addressing any questions that we may have asked. I mean, sadly, I can't go into the details of those questions, but it was always, if we asked anything, he would answer the question and usually expand upon it to even more than we could have expected.
Do you expect that this dialogue will continue? And I struggle because obviously, he can't speak to every Disney fan, and by no means do we claim to represent the Disney fan community. But so I don't necessarily mean with us, but I do mean dialogue, fan engagement, because sometimes the challenge is he's been someplace and he says something that he falls into a trap of, because he's being open, he doesn't necessarily choose his words carefully, which is totally understandable. We all do that. But, some people, like a politician, may say, okay, well, then I'm just not going to talk to people. Do you think that he's going to continue engaging with the fan community despite the challenges that some in the community have with him?
I think moving forward, I think he's going to become more open. And that was something as we saw at the Wakanda Forever red carpet, he was out there having fun, enjoying it, making sure that he is seen. And this is something that I've said for even before these started. Everybody compares him to Bob Iger or Michael Eisner because those are the ones that were the faces of Disney in our lifetimes. The company he is running is vastly different than either one of those because, as we know, when Bob Iger first started with the company, he wasn't the hero, he wasn't the golden boy, but that was something I feel like was lesser known. But now, if Bob Chapek goes somewhere and does something, if it's seen by any media, especially certain websites and certain Twitter accounts, it is immediately known. So what he is facing, and it's what we're facing. 2 years ago, we never thought we'd be sitting here live streaming, talking about these things. So the world has changed so much, and especially for one of the biggest companies in the world. So I think he is still trying to catch up with what we are now facing today.
You since this is about impressions, what is your impression of Bob from these choices? Is he tired, weary, energetic, optimistic, excited?
I would say he's definitely optimistic and excited still. He comes across, I will say this over and over again, he loves the Disney company. He's been a part of it for many years. He's worked over the parks, worked over just about everything. Now he is over everything. I will say the tired part comes into play because, like I said earlier, he has so many balls in the air. I can't imagine, it's wake up. Probably his calendar starts ringing at 5 o'clock in the morning until midnight with talking to the president of the United States, talking to the head of the NFL, all of those type of things.
I have a question, Jeremiah. One of the, I guess, disappointments, maybe too strong, but I don't have the capacity to come up with a better word, was at D23 Expo, people felt that a bigger vision for Disney parks would be revealed. And we've talked on Laughing Place plenty about the balance sheet limitations that Disney is currently in. But without giving it, once again, any specifics, did you get a sense of his enthusiasm or hunger for the parks division?
Yes, very much so. This is something Doobie and I have talked about on our walk-in talks, that the parks always seem to go through a cycle with each park getting a focus. So there was never a time where he said, "Oh, I'm just going to give up on the parks." The parks are still one of the number one things. So he still loves the parks. He was talking about how he was just out in California recently, and then he's going to another Disney property soon. So there's never, I don't think there's he's done with having fun. He wants to go do something. He is still enthusiastic about this company, and especially about the parks, because that's where he came from also.
Anything you got the impression of that we haven't asked that you feel you should share?
That is such a hard question. I will say, after sitting down with him 2 times, I'm not with him 24/7
so far,
but a lot of, in my opinion, that he is responsible for ruining XYZ. Yes, there are definitely things that are his decision, but I think we also have to remember he is the head of one of the biggest companies in the world. So no, he's not in charge, or I don't think he is well aware of the smaller things that do take place that are I want to say the things that are more picked on than anything else. Yes.
Without mentioning any names. I know you obviously weren't the only person that were there. There were other outlets that were there both now and before. You know, Disney, he's not doing this just because he loves you and your Roosevelt shirts. He's trying to help his impression out there. Do you feel it's working? Do you think these meetings are putting off the positive vibe they want to put off on the people in the audience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Did Allison just open a drink?
No.
No, that was somebody
the
else.
old school.
We now have a third person in the massive ballroom. The chandeliers and the candelabras just brought a Coke to
Are they
somebody.
singing and dancing? Yeah. Okay.
No, not. Yes, I think that all of us in the room, and you know, there were a couple of us from D23 and that made it into this one. That sounded kind of ominous, but carried over. And you know, I firmly believe the handful of us that made it to both. I don't think that he came off as, okay, I took this and I'm changing this. It was, again, let me put it a different way. FDR in the fireside chats, not like grandfather, where he's just sitting there and he's talking about fun things. He jokes, he enjoys everything. So it's not, I wish that everybody could see what I've gotten to experience twice. And hopefully as this goes forward, we will start to see more of the Bob and less of the Bob Chapek.
You mentioned fireside chats and how well he comes off. I mean, it's not like they don't have platforms to do such things. Michael Eisner used to be on TV every weekend. Let's get
No, Jimmy. He doesn't need to use his own platforms. He can come on ours. I'd be happy to do like a weekly.
Well, no, I meant I meant a fireside chat on LPTV. You know, every now and then.
Okay, but in all honesty, wouldn't it be kind of fun if like Fantasmic is about to come back? Wouldn't it be kind of fun if there was some little video clip that there was out there, like he was our host, Bob Chapek. I personally, as a fan, miss that element of the CEO, because I feel like Iger would often do the kind of host role, not all the time, but from time to time, you had the sense that he was your host. And I haven't felt like I've had that opportunity with Chapek yet. And so I'm interested in how he would be in that role, not in the I'm being interviewed by the Wall Street Journal or I'm standing in front of the shareholders, but much more of how would he be as my my friend and host, kind of scenario. And you guys have pointed out Eisner had it with the the Sunday night films, and like I say, from time to time Iger would fall into I call it cardigan Iger. Right, when you would get cardigan Iger, but I haven't yet had that kind of moment with Chapek yet, and I keep waiting for it. Like I thought we were going to get it with the 50th, and then it didn't happen, and I thought we were going to get it with D23, and I didn't feel it happen. So I'm still waiting kind of for that, and that could be partly just time and place for me. It may have happened and I missed it, but I'm just saying I have yet to experience it.
Yeah, that is a topic that was kind of addressed.
Okay.
So, yes, I think that is something, again, going back to it's a different world than Michael and Bob. Did you just promote Hint? No, but it is very difficult. And this is much more my thought on it, for somebody to do that, because there is a streaming service there. People aren't watching basic TV. I would love to see more videos. I'd love to interview him on LPTV running 24/7.
Can you imagine the ridiculous response there would have been had, like, okay, so we've learned now that he had the Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2 album. Okay, so Winnie the Pooh and Friends just came back to Crystal Palace. Can you imagine if somehow they would have worked in the fact that was something he had from his childhood into this coming back? I mean, just the response. I don't know. To me, the response to that would have been like, "Oh, that
No.
I don't know. Maybe I'm totally, and maybe it would have
No.
crashed and burned. But just the notion is just so appealing.
It's like Ben talked about on Parks Talk, which Jeremiah missed yesterday. He needs his Oswald moment, and that potentially could have been his Oswald moment. So,
Yeah,
yes.
no, totally. You're right.
And to kind of jump on the Oswald moment, I think one of the things that we missed, and this also is a lot of because of the past couple of years, you know, he may not have brought Oswald in, but he brought in the Disneyland Paris parks. Like that's something that's been ignored. That you know we now own, or the Disney company now owns all of Disneyland Paris and the Walt Disney Studios park, because that was one of his things. He saw an opportunity and wanted to take care of it.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it must be hard to try and balance what you can say and what you can't say.
It is so hard, and that's why one of the I'm just waiting to get yelled at for talking about Winnie the Pooh and Mary Poppins. But
I'm gonna think that's probably okay. But thank you. We'll see for you again in a little bit, because you and Luke are going to be covering the press preview of Fantasmic.
Yes.
Spectacular.
In just a few short hours.
Right.
In
so
just
we'll be back
minutes.
with you a little bit later. So I appreciate you taking the time out to chat with us and sharing your impression.
Thank you. I usually don't do impressions, but in this case, I did.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Go hang with Bob some
Bye,
more.
guys.
Tell him we said hi.
Okay.